Kennedy Cherrington, thank you for joining me on NRL Fans WA.
Oh, thank you for having me. Sorry it's taken so long for you to get me, but yeah, I've been a busy girl last year, but finally got some downtime to have a chat.
It's beautiful. Yeah, you absolutely have been busy, with the World Cup over in England, grand final as well. You've done achieved a hell of a lot in the game. So just in a short period of time the NRLW's been around, you've been one of those ladies that's everyone talks about. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a busy year last year, double season with the NRLW, and then we went into our club season, and then I had a mid-year op on my knee, and then went back to the second season of NRLW where I was lucky enough to get my hands on a green and gold jersey. So
yeah, well, and absolutely deserved, because you were, my opinion, one of the premier front rowers. When you look back in your season, how did you guys personally go, like from the first part of the season, running the 2021 season, to running the this season's?
So the two seasons was still in the same year, obviously. So it was still our inaugural season in our eyes, like first season. So there was a lot of learning from 1 to 2, whether it was reshuffling our team with combinations. We try to keep a core group together. But I think the professionalism and the club respect coming from season 1 to 2 got better. The club knew what they were in for, just learning from those few weeks we were together in season 1. But yeah, hell of a lot difference coming into season 2. We had nothing to lose as well, because we still were a new team in everyone's eyes. I think just finding those combinations is important. The nature of our NRLW comp is only 5-6 weeks max, and then having those games under our belt coming into the second season really helps. So hopefully in the this year it'll happen, and then hopefully next year we get more games together, because I still don't think you see a full potential of a team in 5 weeks to win a premiership. It's not realistic in my eyes. So hopefully coming into the season, there's 4 more new teams and a lot more games. So we're going to see a lot of movement and quality of football go up.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Like you mentioned, the four new teams coming in. I think the NRLW, the NRL's done it pretty well in response to, I guess, the AFLW, where they've got every team for the AFL teams with the AFLW. The NRL's just slowly bringing them in, seeing how the competition adapts to it, and the fans are adapting to it too. So I think they've done a really good job in strategizing it that way, I think.
No, yeah, I agree. Like, credit to the AFLW for leaving the forefront in the women's sport in Australia. But if we want to keep the quality of football where it is, and, maintain it, not drop off or anything like that, then slow way is a good way. I see it in the, being the future professional, all of us in a few years.
Yeah, definitely. I think like one of the things I've noticed is that the NRLW, like your competition, your guys, it sort of reminds a lot of us fans of what it was like back in the 80s and 90s. I mean, I grew up in the 90s, where there's no wrestle, there's no BS in the game. It was just, you girls get the ball, run hard. There was no trick players. It was none of that sort of stuff. Whereas the AFLW, it seems that they got the talent there, but the competition's not as good. Like, I think the grand final, there was only like 40 points scored for the whole game. And that's in an AFL game, that's just unheard of. That's usually a quarter for one team sometimes.
Got to agree on that point. A lot of old boys have actually told me the same thing, the same feedback. Like, I think because it's probably the nature of our position we're in, we're not professionals. So when we do play football, it's not taken for granted. So we love playing. We love doing what we do. So we go out there and give it 100% with no, other stuff going on in the background. We play hard, we run hard. So yeah, you're not the first person to say that.
It's good. Yeah, because I've talked to a few people. Like, I even talked to MG about it, Mark Geyer. He said the same thing. He loves the women's product. So what all you women are putting on the field, the public loves, and it's great to see.
Yeah.
Jump into a little bit of your career. Yeah. So you've you're born in New South Wales, got the Māori heritage. You lived over here in Perth, as well. What junior clubs did you play for over here?
Yeah, so we first moved to Perth in 2009, when my dad got a job in the mines, and it was just a fresh start for the fam. So we relocated to Mandurah first, and then Mum tried to find us a footy team, and the club that came up first was Rockingham Coastal Sharks. So Mandurah was actually not a club back then. Now they are, which is pretty cool to see. But yeah, Rockingham, I was there. I played under 10s, 11s, 12s. Where yeah, my footy career began. Was influenced by my brother who was playing. He's actually younger than me, so I asked Mum and Dad whether I could play as well, because in New South Wales, my netball was on the same day as junior rugby league. We're over in Perth, it's on the Sunday, and netball was on the Saturday, so I was able to play both.
Yeah, that's it. Because I remember we played a game at South Perth, and they had photos of you and Ruben up there as well, and
yeah,
they were proud of you guys as well. So did you have an association with them as well, did you?
Yeah, so I played for 3 clubs while I was over in Perth. So yeah, junior rugby league club being Rocco, and then I no longer could play because of the age restriction rule, with under 12s being the last year females could play with the boys. Then I played league tag and for Fremantle for a season there, and then I played at the women's comp a few games there while I was FIFO to Sydney for South Perth, and then my sister and brother also played for South Perth, because it was just relocation and was a bit hard getting to Rockingham, and we were living up closer to my school being Aramal Catholic College, so we moved up further north. So yeah, it was just too far to travel. Love Rocco. I actually love all the clubs we've been involved in. It's really good clubs.
Yeah, that's the way. It's it's a really good competition. I think last year they struggled with a couple of the clubs not having girls teams, but yeah, hopefully, sort of through the pandemic now, on the other end of it, hopefully all these kids and girls come back.
Yeah,
all the clubs get a bit stronger. So
yeah, I guess that's kind of been a goal of mine. Being the 1% that got out of Perth type of thing, people keep saying, but I just want to be that role model for girls and boys that come from Perth, Western Australia, that it is, your dream can come true, you can chase it, it can happen. So just being that representation and that picture for them to see that, hey, she can do it, I can do it. So yeah, just growing the numbers back in Perth, whether it's boys or girls, has been a massive goal of mine, and especially this year, I'm really pushing for that.
Yeah, definitely. While you were over in the World Cup as well, you weren't the only West Australian girl competing.
No.
Shanice Parker and Anika Stevenson. They were both representing their heritage as well. How was that for you? Like you're saying, you're trying to promote the game in Perth. How was that for you, having those two over there with you?
I think all of us have all kind of been involved with each other's journeys, like not now, but like way back when we were playing touch together. So it was pretty awesome to see, all of our hard work pay off. And I think it was so special to see the 3 countries being represented too, Anika being a representative for Cook Islands nation, and then Shanice finding out that, she's making a debut for the Kiwi Ferns, and then me being the representative from Australia. So I think that was a cool little trifecta, and all being from Western Australia. Anyone that asked me, how do you know Shanice, how do you know Anika, and I was like first one to advocate, Perth talent. And I think we're all quite vocal where we come from too. We're not forgetting where we came from. It is hard, like I'm not gonna lie, it is hard coming from Perth when selectors aren't looking over the ditch, or there's just not as much growth or a lot of opportunity. You have to move East Coast, and I think all of us at some point of our life had to relocate to the eastern states to give it a crack, and it has somewhat paid off, but I hope in the future it doesn't have to be that way. We can stay where we're based and have the same opportunity as the East Coast.
Yeah, definitely. We'll jump into talking about the Perth team a bit later, but yeah, I absolutely agree. So when you played rugby league, you went back over to New South Wales. You started playing Union though.
Yeah.
I think it was 2017, you were selected for the Commonwealth Youth Games for Australia.
Yeah.
You went over for the rugby sevens and you won gold.
Yeah.
And then you got to play in the Super W rugby competition for the Waratahs. You win 2 grand finals there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, my journey's been quite colourful. So played double code. I had to stop playing rugby league, which sucked. You know, at 12, you want to keep playing with the boys because you're only just starting to get into it, understand the game. And there was no pathways, not just in Perth, but there was just really no pathways for females my age in general in rugby league. So, you know, that was back in 2012, you know, as I was coming into high school. And this was also the same time that the rugby sevens was getting off the ground in female sports. So it was the fastest growing sport in Australia at the time. And I think with them winning, you know, the national team winning the gold, it had an effect, a boom effect on Australia and the young talent coming through. So everyone wanted to play rugby union or sevens in this case. So I jumped on board as well and was grateful enough to end up in the youth and women's Aussie Seven system where, you know, I learned a lot about professionalism, pathways, all that stuff that they could offer. And yeah, I just jumped on board and was lucky enough to win gold as how old was I? 17? 18-year-old, these com games where I still have, you know, so many friends in other codes like track, swimming, boxing. Yeah, like it's just sport brings everyone together. It's pretty crazy. And then yeah, it was with the Waratahs for a few seasons, and then once COVID happened in the 2020 period, you know how the borders shut and everything, I got stuck in Perth for 4 months, and kind of it was like a turning point in my career where I didn't want to play footy no more. But then it was also another direction I could go. I could give rugby league another crack because, you know, they had just started up the NRLW competition. So I just kind of wanted to get out of the environment I was in rugby union because I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. You know, there's a lot of personal things going on as well. So I just wanted that fresh start like we seek for in life, getting out of your comfort zone. So I actually just said, oh, you know what, might as well. And that's when Cronulla, the Harvey Norman side, reached out and asked if I wanted to play. And I didn't realize that, you know, it was a rep side and there was pathways to the NRLW. I was just wanting to get out of my comfort zone and just try something, well, not new. Rugby league has always been the number one sport. So I guess just getting back to my roots. And from then, 2020, yeah, everything just kind of happened like bang. 2 years I'm a Jillaroo. It's still crazy for me to reflect back on my story and seeing how everything just happened so fast.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you in that 2020 season, you know, you go from representing the Sharks at the Harvey Norman series to getting picked up by the Roosters. You know, you play a couple of games for them, and then Parramatta come along as well, and you jump across to go play for Parramatta, and you've been with them for a couple of seasons now. You know, and you've got a lot of things that have come out of it. You know, you've represented New South Wales, you've represented the Māori All-Stars and the Jillaroos, you know, so it's in a short amount of time, like you're saying, it's a lot of things have just popped off for you. And it's not through anything else but your hard work. And it's, you know, nothing that anyone else can take away from you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Thank you. It means a lot. Yeah, it's just, you know, for me, I'm quite goal driven. So, you know, when I want to get something done, it happens. I just got to put my mind to it and have that confidence in myself to get it done. So, you know, this year was a bit of a tricky year. I was left out of, you know, as all athletes do, we have setbacks in our life. The first season I was kind of playing on a just an iffy knee that wasn't 100%. And then I had to, mid last year, I had to really take just a step back and go, okay, what do I do? Do I fix myself? Do I get myself ready for the second season and potentially a World Cup? Because at the time I didn't know. Or do I keep playing on it, make it worse, and then potentially have a average season with Para and not make Jillaroos? And at that stage, I'd missed out on the Origin selection. I was left out. And then I took that time to pull away from Harvey Norman and get my body right. So I ended up having just my third knee operation where I had just a quick clean out, something so minute and not so serious, but it made such a difference. And then ever since the first day of rehab where I was allowed to rip back into it, I kind of just changed my mindset where, you know, I was falling into that, oh, poor me mindset. Oh, I'm not going to make it. I'm not good enough, where I just flipped the switch and just, I don't know, really just what really wanted to visualize my dreams happening. And I don't think I give myself enough credit for the work that I put in that small space, because it really put me ahead and then into para season, then into the Jillaroos campaign.
Yeah, well, clearly it worked. The hard work that you did put in, it worked. You know, you've become a World Cup winner. You know, you make the grand final. It's unfortunate that you've lost, but you know, you just make the grand final. You go to the World Cup. You win the World Cup. You know, and I know that your cousin Anthony Cherrington would have given you some knee advice as well, because I know I follow him. I've had an interview with him as well, so I know he's been through those sort of struggles as well, and you would have been able to lean on him, and he would have been able to sort of help you through the mental side of things, the physical side of things as well.
Yeah, so Anthony's played a really, really important part of my life. You know, him going through the journey that he did, he knows exactly what to do and not to do, and how to be myself and look after my body. So he's been that resource for me that I think is an advantage over a lot of people. You know, he knows what the full-time athlete is like. He knows what the NRL player is like. He lived and breathed it for many years. So for me, I just bounce off of him saying, okay, what do I do, cuz? What do I do here? So he's like my part of my circle that I communicate with to make my decisions. And yeah, I can't give him enough credit for what he's been able to help me with, because without him, I don't win a World Cup. I don't look after my knee properly. I don't do many things that I've achieved. So just giving credit to where credit belongs, and yeah, one of them being my older cousin.
Yeah. Speaking of cousins, you've got another one, Mania, who played as well, NRL, and then you got an uncle who was played professional rugby union as well. He's Norm Barrymore.
Yeah, so there's a lot of in our family, yeah, rugby league, rugby unions. I guess part of what you do if you're in the family. It's just with a lot of Polynesians and Māori families, footy's our outlet. So sometimes you're good at it, and yeah, it definitely runs in the family, and Mania being one of them as well. Just continuing that Cherrington name after Anthony. So I hope to do the same as well as my little sister. So just making the family proud is, you know, what I want, and I've definitely made that happen. But now that I've ticked off all these things, it's just like, what do you do next for some people? But there's more to it than just footy. So like just growing the game in Western Australia has been a goal of mine, and advocating women's sports is another. It's just so much more to it. So now I feel like I have that sole responsibility as a pioneer in the women's game to just do so much more. And having my older cousins go through what they did only benefits me, because it's just like, yeah, they guide me in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you got, like you said, you got your younger sister Ruben at Parramatta as well.
Yeah.
Which is a great achievement for your family to have you both in the same team. I bet you were as proud as hell having little sister come along to join your team. You know, that's a hell of an achievement for the family, isn't it?
Yeah, like we always looked at like the Barrett brothers and the All Blacks, and then, you know, the Trbojevic brothers and Manly. So I think that dream has always been there, like to represent with your sibling is so cool. Like there's no feeling to it to explain. It's just like, that's my sister. Or yeah, it's just, sometimes I see her at training. It's so weird because we haven't actually played much footy together. A lot of people think we have. We've only played a handful of sevens games against each other, but you know, she was a rookie last year, so I only really got to play 2 games with her. So hopefully this year, after a strong Harvey season, she'll definitely end up in that regular 17, playing 17. So, you know, she's only young, and it's just really cool to see her development over the years. So talented, especially within her age group, so dominant since she was 12 right up until last year. So dominant. So to see her progress into the women's space is going to be exciting, because she's one of those youngins that had been playing as a girl since she was young. So all that age group are coming through, where, you know, some of us didn't start playing till we're 18, 19, or, for me, it was 10. So this new generation coming through is going to be really exciting because they're the pinnacle of the grassroots rugby that have been playing since they were 5 and 6.
Yeah. I was at the Harmony Nines when she broke her arm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we got there and she was getting taken away in the ambulance at the time, which she's had that setback as well, like you're saying with your knee. She's had that setback with her arm, where she had to have surgery and stuff to get it healed, and she's come back, to make it to the NRLW with a big sister. So, it's that mindset that you guys in the family have got is great. It's great to see because that's what you need to succeed in the NRLW, especially being those pioneers of the sport and the inspiration for these young people, young women coming up.
Yeah, she's went through a lot. That was her first ever injury as well, like big injury. So it did rattle her, but no, same thing. Just got on with it, did her rehab, looked after it, strengthened it, because it's a bit of a tricky one, like as in like, she broke both bones. So I know, our game is contact driven. So she had to do a lot to get over that fear of breaking it again. And yeah, credit to her, bounced back and played under 19s Origin, captain the side to a back-to-back win, and then landing herself an NRLW contract. So I hope I've been that not motivation, but like the same thing I was talking about before, like being that person that's done it, she can see it as well. So yeah,
that inspiration for her.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. I've talked to your mum a fair bit on Instagram and stuff like that. She's mentioned that, especially yourself. I know that Ruben you all had similar struggles coming up when you were getting the representative roles in Perth.
Yeah.
Can you just talk us through those sort of struggles that you guys had with? I guess it's people thinking that you're taking spots off the boys that are coming through.
Oh yeah. So being, rugby league's seen in everyone eyes as a male dominant sport, which it has been, but times are changing. A lot more girls have been involved in the sport, and yeah, definitely me and my sister have had a bit of backlash in representing, rep sides. And, some people don't like seeing girls play the sport, which is understandable because they're not used to it, but they've got to understand that, one sport isn't specifically allocated for one gender. And, it just happens that we were good at rugby league and some people didn't like that. So, as you do, people saying, we don't deserve to be there because their son wants to be an NRL player. That was just some of the comments that we used to get from, especially making the under 12 stateside. I think that's just, it was just a national comp, and, we were selected in our positions to represent our state, which is a massive achievement. Being WA so big, and as our first ever rep side, that kind of catapulted the love for rugby league, and grateful enough that we've ended up in the professional side of things. So I just say, don't listen to anyone, only worry about yourself. That's all you can do. And if people say you can't, if people say you can't, then show them that you can. So we copped a lot of backlash from some dads and some boys, especially on the field playing too. Some of the boys didn't like us tackling them hard. So it's just really funny to look back at, and some of those boys that we used to play with, and some of the dads are like our biggest fans now. So it's a full circle moment.
And it's great that you're able to sort of show them, we deserve the spot, and look at where we are now.
Yeah, exactly.
Where are you? He's one of our spot, and look at where you are compared to us. So that's great. That's great to see that user, just taking it on and showing everyone, being the inspiration for the young girls. Speaking of young girls, how do we get over here in Perth? How do we get more young girls involved in rugby league, and how do we get more women involved? Because the competition, obviously, we've got the women's tag, the girls tag, plus the full contact as well. How do we get these women and girls more involved in the game?
I think what I'm trying to drive from over here is just letting New South Wales being probably the strongest state in rugby league. And what I've been trying to do is just let them know that there is talent over there. It's like, it is worth seeing, products like myself, Shanice, Anika, even in some of the men's space, like Wonga Blake, Kurt DeLewis, there's so many that I could name that are in the junior pathways or the senior pathways. So it is worth looking there. I think on this side, we've got to, like, COVID didn't help. Like, I understand that it was a tough time for all of us. And I think that's what NRLWA is feeling the effect of, is that COVID period. So hopefully in a year, you know, given that all the traveling's back, I know there's a lot of programs headed to Perth that I'm going to be involved in. And that's approach to region pathways up in Karratha, Port Hedland, Esperance, like not just Perth, because WA is so huge. So, you know, we might find the next bloody Greg Inglis in a junior school in kindergarten, or the next bloody Billy Slater, I don't know, something, a player like that. And I just think they've got to invest in those pathways and know that it is worth looking in WA. But then another side of it is just female participation. Hopefully Jillaroos winning the World Cup has a little ripple effect in participation numbers in Western Australia, not just in the rest of Australia as well. I think that it's just the contact side of things. So, you know, so many girls play touch, so many girls play OzTag. It's just, how do we transfer those numbers over to the contact side of things? I just think we need to run probably some more clinics, like getting down and just teaching them the basic fundamentals of tackling and stuff, because once you get a hang of it, it's not that scary. I think that's what I found, that it's the fear of the parents as well for their child to get hurt, or the fear of themselves, like being too ashamed to play because they're 16, and you know how girls get, type of thing. So just that shame around playing. So hopefully we can break down that barrier, because I feel like that's the only thing that's holding back female participation.
Yeah, I've got a couple of older girls here. I've got a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old girl. Girls. Plus, I coached 2 teams last year at Serpentine. I coached one of your nieces, Anahita. Anahita Rowe. Yeah, I coached her. And there's a few other girls that were in the under 10s and under 11s teams. So I think once the juniors sort of level gets to that age where they have to separate, I think that's where they lose it at the moment. And that's, I don't know how, like, from my point of view, I don't know how we keep encouraging these girls to go and do it.
Unless they have a comp that they can transition to, that I feel like that's the only way they can keep the numbers there, because majority of those girls are sisters to brothers that play. So it just makes sense that all the family are involved. And then once the under 12s, they go to league tag or rugby union or back to netball type of thing. So that's something I've been trying to drive from here with NRL community, working really closely with them. So we won't see it now, we'll see it in a few years. It's just like the result of putting in now and investing in these pathways for a better future.
Speaking of like those pathways and stuff, we mentioned, mentioned before, with the Perth possibility being the 18th team, do you reckon that the NRL should possibly look, instead of bringing the men's team in straight away, bring a women's team in first? With the talent that we've got over here, the untapped talent, and bring them into the NRLW first, or even to the Harvey Norman comp. Should that be a way to do it?
Yeah, definitely. Like, again, I've always been that vocal point for NRL Western Australia. So whenever I can, I talk about the pathways in Western Australia and bringing in the NRL team franchise back, given that we did have one and then it was taken off of us. So like I said, maybe if we don't focus on the men's, bringing the 18 franchise, definitely bringing in the women's, because that's where we have the advantage. Females want to play sport, and especially in the states that aren't so strong in the what is it called, unaffiliated states, we can all have that common goal to work towards an NRL team or NRLW team. And that's Also, something that I've been trying to drive is just being in their ear, constantly saying, if it's not the men's, then let's focus on the women's, because the female team, when they go to nationals and stuff, they're winning. They're showing selectors that there is talent there. It just needs to be focused on and developed properly. Like, how can you expect them to be at a level like this when they aren't getting the comps that match that when they can, because they have the potential. Like I said, us three products, me, Shanice, and Anika, are a product of that. So imagine if we had that development back when we were juniors, or their pathways, or an NRLW side to work towards. If they see a pathway, then they want to do it. Like then it's like, like I was goal driven. If you see it, then you want to do it.
Yeah.
So no.
I mean, with I don't know if you heard during the year that they were talking about North Sydney and Perth putting in the bid for the 18th thing.
Yeah.
North Sydney's got their own Harvey Norman team.
Yeah.
I personally think that they should be, if they're going to look at a Perth team for the 18th for the men's NRLW team, or NRL team, sorry, they should possibly start looking at the North Sydney Bears, bringing in these girls from Perth for the NRLW, seeing what the playing a couple of games over here, for the Harvey Norman. I know it's not the bigger competition, but maybe, I don't know, but I think that's a pathway for North Sydney to work with Perth to see if that works in the first place, and also, to see that's like what I said before, the untapped talent that's over here, not just the men's but the women's.
Yeah, I did read that too, like not having it based in New South Wales, but using the North Sydney Bears or North Bears as the franchise to bring to WA, which I'm all for as well. Like, I think I said this on social media a few months ago. I'm all for that. And whether they use the Harvey Norman as like an affiliate club for WA girls that are wanting to give it a crack to make that move, which, I think WA really need to have that chat. Because I know my sister and a few other girls her age were coming over to play the Tasha Gale, and they were just kind of looking for a club, throwing it out there. And I think it would be so much easier if we just had one allocated club to make that the club where, like, how the New Zealand Warriors work with certain schools over here, like it's just having that relationship. And I think maybe that's the focus in the next 2 years, is to strengthen that relationship, to make it easier for our athletes to come over.
Yeah. And that's one of my other points I wanted to make as well, is that even the NRL clubs, I think there's, as far as I'm aware, there's only one club over here that's got an association with the NRL club, and that's South Perth with Canberra, and that was through Sully. We need to get more of these clubs involved with our local clubs, like Rockingham with Cronulla, being the Sharks, all that sort of stuff. Hopefully we can get this sort of stuff going, because use three women plus your sister as well are just some of the untapped talent that's in the NRLW, plus all the guys, like I know Jordan Pereira come from over here, and there's a few other guys that have made it to the NRL. So there's talent here. I think we just need that. We need the NRL to sort of, and the teams to make that leap and take a chance with Perth.
Yeah, I feel like me and Royce Hunt have been talking heaps about like our pathways, and if we didn't move over, then we don't make the NRL. So I think both of us will be that driving force. We're quite vocal where we came from, like I said, and hopefully with what we can do over here can somewhat merge, because we know a lot of people. So hopefully it can merge that relationship, because I do think we need someone like us two to be that driving force, like Sully was. Being so vocal for South Perth and all that, and moving to Canberra. So that's just kind of opened my eyes. I feel like I really want to do that this year, and hopefully create that relationship, being a female participant myself. So whether it's Ellenbrook or Joondalup being the club to make that connection, given their success in the WA comp, finding a team over here to be that connection.
And that's sort of what I do this for, is I try to get people involved and noticing rugby league a bit more, participating, all that sort of stuff. And then also I'm trying to get players like yourself or ex-players that have come on to have a chat to sort of promote Perth as being that 18th team, and them knowing that we've got talent over here and it's over in the competition already. So the NRL needs to look at us and go, hey, well, there's people over there. All these ex-players or current players are saying, let's get a team over there. So why don't we look at it?
No, thank you for that, because it takes people like you who see the vision, and just needs to be planned out accordingly. And now, like people like you and Sully have been really the vocal points for Western Australia, because all people see Western Australia as the AFL state, and it's frustrating because if you're involved with rugby league, there's rugby league that lives well and truly in Perth. So, thank you for being that person. Keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully I can be that a part of that vision, and we see proof in the produce in a few years.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I absolutely hope so as well. And have you got any advice for these young girls that are coming up that want to play, and they watch you on TV and they want to be like you? They want to be an NRLW star, a Jillaroo. Have you got any advice for them?
Yep. So what I'd say to any girl that I was running a clinic with is just, now that there's a direct pathway, you can see exactly what you want to do. And if you put your mind to it, be involved exactly where you want to be. So like a team in your area, what's next? Like just really seeing what you want to do. So whether it's from Lisa Fioli Cup, so under 16s over here, to Tasha Gale to Harvey to NRL, like it's so achievable.
Yeah.
Just stay being that athlete that works hard, the one that is continuously learning. And if someone says you can't, man, show them that you can. So yeah,
that's the way to do it. Before we go, just want to know just for the people that over here, what do you do in your spare time? Like, what do you do once you're not at training, not preparing for games and stuff like that? What do you do for work and stuff like that?
So work has been quite tough lately because of my fully schedule. So finding a job that's quite flexible for the NRLW season and everything else that goes on in my life is hard. So I've been in and out of casual jobs, working in schools, but next week I start working for Greg Inglis as is like number 2 in his Goanna Academy. So I'll be traveling all over Australia, delivering modules on mental health, not just to schools and kids, but workplaces as well, like ASICs and construction companies, just providing them with the resources if they need help to reach out. So yeah, something that I'm I've always wanted to be involved in helping people with mental health. So this job, when he offered it to me, I was just like, that's perfect, because it sits right where I value, like where my values sit. So that is going to be something that I'm going to be pursuing this year. And I do a lot of content with TikTok and working for myself with my endorsements. Like, I've got a few things coming up, like with HelloFresh and ASICs and or TikTok. Got a few things with McDonald's. So there's that. And then I also love the TV and production. So working with Fox Sports and Channel 9 during the season. And then there's community stuff that I've done that I just went to Orange and ran a clinic there with the dogs. There's so much that goes on in my life. And that's not even family time. So all time to myself. So yeah, I'm a very, very busy girl, and I love staying busy because it means I'm getting things done and being very productive. But just growing the game in general and helping people reach their full potential is probably the theme in my life.
Yeah. And all the stuff that you got going on just shows you in the short amount of time that you've been that professional rugby league player, how much of the hard work you put in has come out. You've got all these sponsorships, the TikTok stuff. Greg Inglis has seen your potential and seen what you're able to do and got you to come on board. Like that sort of stuff doesn't happen to just anyone. So it comes down to your hard work and the effort that you put into your rugby league and your your personality as well that comes across. It shines, and that's what everyone loves about you. Like everyone knows you from TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, as well as obviously the rugby league side of things. But because you're so out there with and you're charismatic, everyone loves it. You know, everyone loves watching your stuff. Like I show my kids all the time. I was like, check out this girl. You know, it's funny. It's great. You know, you and Ruben jumping on there as well, doing things. Yeah, and like I said, it comes down to your hard work that you've put into it. So yeah, don't ever think that you haven't earned anything that you're getting, because you have.
Thank you. I think that just comes down to my family's values that have instilled in us, just being the best version of ourselves, and that's being us, not being shy or having no confidence in being who we want to be. And they've always driven that since we were young. So yeah, I don't really care what anyone else thinks about me. I'm doing me, and that's the only person I can worry about, and my success and my family's success speaks volume. So
yeah. One thing I did want to mention before we do go, and I do apologize, is that I remember during the year you I can't remember what you won, some prize money for something. I can't remember what it was.
The Veronica White medal.
That's the one. And you donated it to one of the Heart Foundation things.
Yeah, so sorry. I can explain now. So yeah, so I won Woman of the Year alongside Cody Walker, who won Man of the Year, which is just recognizing off-field and on-field contribution to the community and charity. So I am involved highly with the Heart Kids charity, which is a charity that looks after kids that were diagnosed with congenital heart defects or diseases. Like myself, I'm a heart kid, had open heart surgery when I was 8, and it's just something that I've always wanted to be involved in, given my platform and spotlight. So I just really wanted to use it properly to bring awareness to my charity. Parramatta recognized that and put together my nomination for the Veronica White medal, which is also the equivalent to the Ken Stevens medal. And on grand final day, I know we lost, but bittersweet, I got to win, found out that I won that award. So accepted my award, and I actually won 10.5 grand, splitting into 3. Part of it was to go to my junior club, which I donated to them in person last year before I headed to World Cup. Then the second part of it went to my charity. And then the third part was for myself, but I just felt selfish because it's a community award, deserves to go back to the community. So I ended up donating it back to NRLWA, where I handed it and kind of presented it to NRLWA, and Sacco was like almost in tears. Yeah, they just asked me where it should go, and I just said female pathways, like that's what it's for. And yeah, they were really humbled to receive it, because at times, you know, they feel like they've been forgotten. So I was just making sure where I began is being looked after, type of thing, because without them, I'm not where I am.
Yeah. I was, and I do apologize for getting the name of the medal, the achievement that you won, and the charity that you were donating to. But I do remember it. It was, I was honoured to see it. I was proud that a West Australian, you know, I was born in New South Wales myself, so, and you can see I'm a Broncos supporter. But you know, I consider myself a West Australian, and to see another West Australian win something so prestigious, you know, and then donate it back and not even keep an out, you know, cent for yourself, it's truly an honour to sort of see that. So yeah, well done on that. No, that's cool. It's me personally, I just think you are really an inspiration for these young women, young girls that are coming up that want to be, and it's not just in rugby league, it's in sports in general. They see someone like yourself, those, like I was mentioning before, you know, with your TikToks and all that sort of stuff, you're out there, you know, you're yourself, and it's great to see. And then your hard work and dedication, you know, in the middle of 2 seasons in the 1 year, you had knee surgery, you come back, you help your team to a grand final, win a World Cup. You know, it's hard work and dedication that you've put in. So you're an inspiration to all these young girls and women that want to do something with their lives. It doesn't matter about sport. It's about life in general. So you are. I share all your stuff all the time. Anything that your mum puts up, I try to share it as well, because especially from the girls over here in Perth, they don't think they can go anywhere because it's Perth, and it's they just think, oh, they can go into the mines and that's it. Whereas that's not true.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for those kind words. It means a lot.
No, that's awesome.
Just reminds me that I'm doing the right thing and to continue doing what I'm doing. So thank you.
No, that's all good. That's no dramas. I just need your help getting Greg Inglis on the chat for me.
That one, he never answers his phone.
But that's all I've got for you today. Kennedy, Cherrington, thank you so much for joining me on NRL Fans WA. Much love to you and the family. Good luck with the upcoming Harvey Norman season and the 2023 NRLW season, to you and Riven. Whenever you're back in Perth, let me know and we'll try to catch up for a coffee, or hopefully you can meet my daughters. I've got heaps of kids. I've got 10 kids in my house. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And they're all Māori. So yeah. But yeah, hopefully, we can catch up when you come back to Perth one time.
Thank you for having me. Just so happy to be involved, and thank you so much for your kind words. But probably see you around soon.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
See ya.